Thanks so much for your patience over the last couple of weeks. I'm so sorry that I haven't been able to get any videos up. I have been sick, and please don't worry, not with COVID. I just desperately needed to take this time to get fully recharged and healed so that I could come back and be ready to go for these videos. So thanks for coming back for part 2, where today I'm going to be talking about my recovery journey and what worked for me. And thank you so much for everybody who watched part 1, which was where I talked about my eating disorder story. I really appreciate your guys' support on that one. And today's video is going to be much more uplifting than the way the last one ended. And I just sincerely hope that this video inspires you to not only keep going with your recovery, but to believe that self-love and confidence are 100% possible for you. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jessie Riemann. I'm a certified eating disorder recovery coach, a personal trainer, and a manifestation coach. And on this channel, we talk about overcoming eating disorders and body dysmorphia and how to manifest your dream life using self-love techniques and by building more self-confidence. And as I always say, I'm here to help you fire that negative inner self-critic and to help you unleash your inner confident badass. And we have now reached over 300 subscribers. Yay! Thank you guys so much. Again, I know that this is such a humble and modest achievement, but I am extremely grateful, and we've just built such a really cool, supportive community. Welcome. Okay, so where we left off was kind of dark. There were so many days that I felt like giving up, but I have always been a fighter deep down, and I know that that is why I never truly gave up. So this was before I had ever discovered eating disorder recovery. I had joined a Facebook self-improvement group run by actress Rachel Brooksmith, who is from one of my all-time favorite dance movies, Center Stage 2. And I saw that she had offered private life coaching, and I considered it, but our schedules just were not lining up. And one night I remember sitting on my bed and just crying and feeling so sick and so exhausted and so helpless. And I remember saying out loud, just please help me. Please someone help me. I'm begging you. And in that moment, through Facebook Messenger, Rachel Brooksmith called me and said, "Hi Jessie, I don't know why, but I just got this feeling that I'm supposed to call you right now." How's that for law of attraction, right? So we talked for like over an hour, and our personalities just clicked, and I just felt in my gut that this was the universe's way of sending me someone to help me. And so I signed up for 3 months of life coaching with Rachel, and we focused a lot on starting to develop self-love techniques and gratitude and self-care, and my confidence started to improve, so much so that I had the courage to get out of a 5-year, very toxic relationship. So working with Rachel was just a phenomenal way to get me started on my journey to recovery and loving myself, and I'm just so eternally grateful to her and everything that she taught me during that 3-month period. She is an amazing woman and an amazing coach. And then right at the tail end of working with her, because of all the gut problems that I had, and if you know my story, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, I hired a new Naturopathic Doctor to help me with all those gut problems, and he had me do a DNA stool test, and the results of that test were that I had 13 different gut infections. I had an infection called C. diff, I had a couple of parasites, and then the rest were just like candida and other bacterial overgrowths. And I just thought, hallelujah, this is it. I found the answer. This is what's going to solve all of my health problems, all of my weight problems, because I truly believed that it was just all related to my gut health. And he started me on a very strict autoimmune paleo diet because I had also been diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And he started me off on a very strict regimen of herbal antimicrobial supplements, which is basically like herbal antibiotics to try to kill off all the infections. And he started me on natural thyroid hormone and supplements for my adrenals, which both of those supplements definitely helped me feel a little better. No effect on my weight whatsoever still. And the herbal antimicrobial supplements just made me feel so sick. The more I tried to take of them, the sicker I got. So I was only ever able to tolerate like the most minimal dose of them. And it just felt like treatment wasn't working. I was missing work all the time. I was just always sick. So also during that time, during the first couple months of working with this doctor, I decided to do some more research. I am a big researcher about how to fix a slow metabolism. And I just so happened to stumble upon a Follow the Intuition eating disorder recovery video by Elisa Orlis. And I broke down in tears. I was in shock. I felt like, yes, this is finally the answer, but obviously I was also afraid because part of me realized that I still did have an eating disorder, even though I thought that when I had quit bulimia years ago, cold turkey, that I was past it, and I knew that I needed to address it now. But in terms of relief, I really believed that this was the answer. As terrified as I was ready to change. And so I started to give in to eating a lot more, and I definitely experienced extreme hunger. I still was holding on to some keto, paleo beliefs and food fears, so it wasn't entirely unrestricted, but I essentially was just letting myself eat a whole lot more food than I had allowed myself to in years. I used the mini mod calorie guidelines just at the very beginning, and I only tracked one time. I just wanted to know how much 2,500 calories was at a minimum, so that I knew that I had to at least be eating that much, and then however much more food over that I was going to eat, it didn't matter. So I did that, and I experienced extreme bloating, and just it was so uncomfortable after I would eat. My digestion got worse. I had joint pain. I was so tired despite all that food that was coming in. Even 5 minutes of very light exercise would just leave me feeling completely drained. I had night sweats. I was just always hot, which now I know was a sign of my metabolism starting to speed up and my hormones balancing out. My whole body swelled up, especially my face and my stomach. None of my clothes fit. I just felt like I didn't recognize myself. I decreased my exercise to 3 to 4 days a week from probably 6 or 7 days a week. And in retrospect, I wish I would have just taken it all out right from the get-go, because I know that that would have sped up my healing and my recovery a lot faster. But you know, hindsight's 20/20. And I gained a good 20 pounds in the first month. It was the highest I had ever weighed in my entire life, and I only checked the scale one time, which I'm not recommending that you do. I remember having the feeling that I wanted to be able to document my entire process, because even with all the fear that I had, I knew somewhere deep within my gut that this was going to work. No matter how long it took, I'd already tried everything else. I was ready to just give this my all. Throughout recovery, I most definitely tried to go back to some of my more restricted diets. Like I said, keto, paleo, bulletproof. And the thing was, once I had already given into recovery, I couldn't go back. I would have constant binges and food cravings anytime I would start to try to go back. And that's very, very common in recovery. I kept watching eating disorder recovery videos from Kayla Kotecki and Tabitha Farrar and Follow the Intuition, and just anything that came my way. I was reading eating disorder recovery books. I was doing everything I could to just saturate my subconscious mind with recovery information. And I think that's an extremely helpful tip in especially the beginning parts of recovery, because it's so easy to go back to the old ways of the eating disorder because it's what you've practiced for so long. So you've got to develop these new habits and these new beliefs and new thought patterns. And the only way you do that is for a while kind of obsessively saturating your brain with recovery information. I slowly but surely gave up more and more food rules. So starting out with paleo and grains, which I guess that goes together. But sugar, I started to let myself eat sugar, and I started to let myself eat processed food and eat food in restaurants and takeout. And I knew that I needed to learn to accept the weight gain, because the more you fight the weight gain, the more your body tends to not only hold on, but continue to gain. So I just made the decision to get rid of all of my smaller clothes, because I looked at it like, if my weight overshoots and I lose, then I can buy different clothes at that point. But all it's going to do right now, if I hold on to them, is frustrate me and discourage me, because I can't fit into things that I once was able to fit into. So I only kept probably like a pair of jeans and some leggings, honestly. And that's only because I forgot that I had them in the basement. So I bought bigger clothes. I bought things that were really comfortable, but still kind of my style. Well, actually, I was even exploring new styles and things that would just make me feel kind of cute. So like a lot of baggy sweatshirts and leggings, off the shoulder baggy t-shirts, like comfy, a little bit longer shorts for the summer. And for the first time in a long time, even though I was so scared, there was this kind of sense of relief, because I had not been able to eat whatever I wanted since I was probably 12 years old. So next, I decided to tell my naturopathic doctor everything that I was learning and everything that I had begun implementing with eating disorder recovery. And not surprisingly, he was not supportive of eating anything non-paleo or anything that he believed to be inflammatory that would make my gut healing more difficult. And it's completely understandable, so I'm not criticizing him whatsoever. Lots and lots of doctors just don't understand true eating disorder recovery. So I just kind of nodded my head and didn't say anything, and I just went along with recovery eating. I did not hold on to paleo anymore once I had given up those food rules, because I had tried everything before. I had tried tons of gut healing diets, and they never worked for me long term. All they ever did was minimize my symptoms a little bit, but I always got sicker and sicker. So I knew that I had to just give recovery all I had, give it a good solid chance. So because of what had happened with Rachel, I decided to look into the law of attraction and start studying it more. Now, I had always been what I called a rational skeptic pretty much my whole life, so I was very, very skeptical of this at first, but I figured, I'm doing all kinds of new things to heal, so why not give this a shot too? What did I have to lose? So here are the basics of the law of attraction. You attract more of who you are, not what you want. What you think about and talk about, you get more of. Your current beliefs create your reality, and you have the power to change and create anything with the power of your mind. So with this knowledge, I did some self-reflection, and I realized that all I ever did was talk about and think about myself as a very sick person with lots of gut problems and a slow metabolism who was completely unworthy. I had been making all of my decisions around whether or not I might feel sick or what people would think about the way I looked with my weight. And I had a deep belief that I would always be sick, that I would always have problems with food in my body, and that I would never be good enough or worthy of love and acceptance. Now I knew exactly what to change because I had fully acknowledged what all of my negative limiting beliefs were and what negative thoughts were keeping me sick. I started affirming to myself every single day things like, I am healthy, I feel great, every single day I get healthier, recovery is healing me, recovery is working for me, I'm so grateful for my health and for recovery. And even in the beginning when I did not believe a word I was saying, I stayed really consistent. I also started asking all the people closest to me in my life to no longer describe me as sick or as a sick person. And little by little, I started to notice small changes, small improvements. I started missing fewer work days and I felt a little bit better. And I just overall felt happier and more hopeful about the future. The next thing I want to bring up that was super crucial to my recovery journey was having a good support system. And speaking of support system, I want to take a minute to recognize the person who by far was my biggest supporter, cheerleader, coach, and just believed in me no matter what. And that was my dad. He listened, he took the time to learn about eating disorder recovery. He reassured me all the time that I was doing the right thing and just never stopped telling me how much he believed in me. And I know that I could not have done this without him. Also, because I was feeling better and better about myself through all the work I had begun to do in recovery, I decided to reach out to my childhood best friend and attempt to reconnect. And we had actually had a falling out toward the end of high school, partly because of the fact that I was anorexic and she was struggling with drugs. And we just reconnected that year, just closer than ever before. And her name is Nikki. She is by far one of the strongest women I know. She quit drugs and alcohol cold turkey when she found out that she was pregnant 10 years ago and just turned her life completely around for her daughter. And she was an extreme support to me during my recovery. Having someone to support and reassure you during your recovery is so, so important. So whether that's your parents, your best friend, another family member, sit them down and explain why you're choosing to recover and ask them to please watch a couple of eating disorder recovery videos because they can't help you if they don't understand what you're going through. Or you can hire an eating disorder recovery coach who is knowledgeable and experienced with eating disorder recovery, who can be there to encourage, motivate, and guide you. And there's so many good ones out there, fortunately, these days. So just make sure that it is someone whose methods and personality resonate with you. After the first 3 months of recovery, my extreme hunger had gone way down, my appetite was beginning to regulate, my bloating had gone way down, my digestion was starting to improve, my weight had seemed to stabilize. Now, again, I was just basing that off of how clothes were fitting. I was not checking anymore, and I was able to eat way more food than ever before without extreme bloating or weight gain. And I was also just releasing more and more food rules. Now at the 6-month mark, I had no more extreme hunger unless I had unintentionally eaten less for a couple of days. In which case, what would happen is my stomach and my face would swell up and get puffier. And then as long as I would resume eating normally and probably give in to a little bit of extreme hunger that would come back up, that swelling and puffiness would go away after a couple days. I had almost no more digestive problems. Weight was still stabilized and I was releasing more and more exercise. So I think I went down to like 2 days a week, which was still holding me back and I should have taken it out. So if you are hearing me loud and clear and you're in the beginning of recovery, take the exercise out. Your body will thank you for it. I was still doing daily positive affirmations and watching lots of law of attraction videos because, again, I needed to saturate my subconscious mind with this new information. And because I was feeling better and more confident about myself, I decided to do a really fun 80s themed photo shoot to prove to myself that I could accept and love my body even at its much larger size. And it was actually a lot of fun once I allowed it to be, because obviously at first I was nervous and feeling a little bit self-conscious about my body, but once I got into it, it was such a liberating experience. Now, I would be lying to you if I said that I always felt confident, because there were definitely days where I felt fat and uncomfortable with the way that my body looked. But that's when, even on my tough days, those affirmations and the self-love and gratitude journaling and watching law of attraction and self-improvement videos and my support system came in to help me get through it. I also decided that I needed to start doing more things that got my focus off of my body and that made me feel good about myself. Well, singing was always a lifelong passion of mine, but became a closet talent once I became anorexic, because I was just constantly afraid of never being good enough. So I started to sing more, just for the fun of it, in the car, in the shower, just more often. And late to the party, I know, but this is when, in my recovery, I discovered Kelly Clarkson. And her music just spoke to my soul, and it just gave me so much more confidence, and I loved singing it. And here, to me, was an example of a woman who was happy and confident in her own skin. One day, I mustered up the courage to release a singing cover to social media.
Before the day I met you, life was so unkind, but you're the key to my peace of mind, 'cause you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. Oh, baby, what you done to me, you make me feel so alive.
And I will never forget that moment. Oh, my heart was racing. I was sweating like crazy. I felt sick to my stomach. I had so much anxiety, and there was just this loud voice just saying over and over, "No, Jessie, please don't do it. What if people hate it?" But then there was this other smaller voice, but still there, that was saying, "But singing makes you happy, and you can do things that are scary. This is gonna help your growth, so do this for you." So my finger hit the button to post it. Now, fortunately, I got an overwhelmingly positive response, which humbled me greatly, and I appreciated it so much. But I proved to myself that I could do it, even though it scared me, just like continuing with recovery. At the 10-month mark, it was November, almost Thanksgiving, and it was about that time to retest for all the gut infections. Now, I'd still been eating unrestrictedly, whatever I wanted. Exercise was minimal now. I had finally given in and was only doing maybe like a 5 to 10 minute walk once a week or some light stretching if I had energy. I was still doing affirmations about health and confidence and focusing on gratitude and what I loved about myself. And lastly, the last couple months before retesting, I had added in the technique of visualization. So I would literally, on a regular basis, close my eyes and visualize all of those infections being pulled out of my body and being happy and grateful to be so healthy. I remember the day of the test results, and I was anxiously awaiting the doctor's response, and honestly fearful that the infections were still in there. Speechless on the phone, I remember hearing myself ask in complete disbelief, "What?" And he said, "It's a clean lab. All the infections are gone." And I, again, just broke down in tears. This time, happy, grateful tears. I couldn't believe that they were gone. I couldn't believe it.
Hey guys, so I literally have the best news that I've had in years, and I just got my retest results back from my doctor from all of the parasite and gut infections, and I'm sorry for crying, but all of the infections are gone. And I think I was at a point where I didn't know if that was possible, and I just, I remember being in a time where I was ready to give up, and that I didn't think that it was possible to actually get rid of all these infections. And because I committed to, being a more positive person and trying to get stress out of my life, it happened and they're gone. So I just wanted to put this out there to tell you guys to never ever give up, because no matter what, you can get through whatever it is that's caused.
All the work I'd been putting in had paid off, and all the while eating whatever I wanted, barely exercising, on the most minimal dose of herbal treatment possible, and just every day affirming that I was healthy and that recovery was working, and finding reasons to feel good about myself. Recovery eating had given my body the strength to be able to fight off all those infections, and my focus on positive self-talk had helped rewire my brain to believe that all of this was possible. At the 1 year mark, 0 gut infections, 0 digestive problems and bloating, 0 food restrictions, 0 food rules, almost no exercise, stable weight, no loss, no gain, able to eat as much food as I wanted, able to work regularly with minimal sick days, and overall just happier and more confident than I'd ever been since I was a little kid, maybe even more. But I was still frustrated with the weight gain, and I was so scared that I was going to have to be stuck in that bigger body. I was still regularly exhausted, and I realized that now that the eating disorder was out of the way, the deeper root cause issues had been uncovered. The stuff that I had not wanted to deal with, the stuff that the eating disorder had been covering up. I had done the eating part of recovery, the gaining weight, the removing the exercise, the starting to work on my self-confidence, but truthfully, I wasn't fully recovered yet. Now it was time for the last piece of the puzzle to get me to full recovery. Now, I know this video is getting a little long, so I think I'm going to make a part 3 that will be shorter. I just want to break these videos up just a little bit to make them a little more digestible. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about this part of my recovery journey, and I hope it's helped you. And please stick around for the 3rd and final chapter, where I will be bringing all the pieces of the puzzle together and explaining the rest of my journey and how I was able to get fully recovered. If you like this video and would like to see more videos like it, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an update. And if you found this video helpful, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. It really does help us to reach more people who also wish to learn how to have more self-confidence, how to love themselves more, and how to be done with dieting. Bye guys.